Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Tuesday, the 29th of June, 2021. Thank you for tuning in. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here. Now, what's happening with silver? Well, they waited. I thought that they would sell their paper short contracts and get out of their paper short contracts in the European banks before the 28th. But they waited until just after the 28th. Well, some of them did get rid of it. Get rid of some of them. But this is a cleaning out process of the paper short contracts. And what worries me is at the end of this year is the LBMA and the COMEX and stuff. They're going to have to clean up shop too. We're in for a rocky road with silver. But yesterday I talked about the price a breaking of the silver market. What I consider a breaking of the silver market would be, and what would cause it, is if they run out of physical supply. Do we know how much they have? Right? Now, you know they've been being drained like crazy. And it's just one of those things where they're going to have physical supply until they don't. And you don't know when they're going to run out. If they don't run out, then we're going to keep going through these paper games right till the end of the year. And maybe a little ways into the new year. While they cleanse out the market of all the paper unallocated positions and stuff. You know, and then we're going to see into the new year, we got something else coming. I think a deflationary cycle that's going to have to play out. So, you know, it's one of those things that it's going to hold on to the bitter end. But I'm going to tell you, when the final rally comes in gold and silver, it's going to be monstrous. Because we're going to be moving into a hyperinflation by that time. We're going through these games like deflationary pulses in the economy, all these giant bubbles like real estate bubbles in the markets. They all want to pop, and perhaps they will pop to a certain degree. They can't let them completely fall. And that's what's going to cause the hyperinflation, is the fact that they can fall some. Well, we've seen it at the beginning of the pandemic, how the markets can fall. But then the Fed comes in with a $2.2 trillion stimulus package. Something else I want to talk to you guys about and I want to show you. Let's get started and let's open up the charts right here and take a look at this beast. I'm going to call it a beast. This is a hot weather dome. And, you know, you can see the really big red spot, but you see part of it broke off and went east and settled in right over top of New England, where I'm at. And yes, Nova Scotia's part of New England. New England's a big place. You know, Nova Scotia's a part they call New Scotland. That's what the name means, Nova Scotia, New Scotland. And so, I guess when the first settlers come over, they made themselves a New England and a New Scotland. And we're New Scotland, and then we're part of New England. And so you can see the heat. It come right in, it settled right on top of me. Now, if you guys are down south, way down south of me, normally we're cool up here, right? You guys are hot down south, down the southeast, you know. But right now it's in reverse. We're roasted up here, as you can see it. That blob settled right over New England. And you guys down in the south are seasonal. Probably cooler. See, it doesn't make sense to have to go south to get cooler. Generally, you go south to get warmer. So things are a bit topsy-turvy right now, you know, not just in the markets. But anyway, we can see that this blob, I'm going to tell you guys what I'm worried about. I see these high-pressure domes, heat domes, what we call heat domes. I see them growing in intensity and getting hotter and hotter. The temperature in them is moving up into the 40s now, at times, in these red blobs. What I'm worried about is these red blobs intensifying and even getting worse, and the temperature moving into the 50s. And there being more of them. Because there's such a thing as called a heat index, that the body can withstand, a certain heat index. And it's a very temperamental thing. If you just start to move it up, once you get up to like 46 degrees Celsius, which is like over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, just that extra 5 or 10 degrees hotter, and suddenly people start to expire. They just can't take it. And so these heat domes, if they just get a little bit more intense, and they settle in over big cities and stuff, and then you get a power outage. Can you see the setup for disaster here? Say a really big metropolitan area, and I mean, we're talking millions and millions of people, and you get a power outage, and the heat goes up, that index goes up just a little bit too high. Oh my goodness, what it could do, I mean, they had something, and if you think this is impossible, they had something like this happen to Paris years ago, and an awful lot of people expired in it. A heat wave, But that was years ago. Okay, let's move into the markets now and take a look at what's going on with silver price. Down 32 cents today at 25.77. This is the 28th was when it came into effect, and now this is not even 24 hours later. That's what this is. That's them selling off their paper short contracts on one side of the market going down. And what you see right now, the market's starting to go back up again. It's trying to go back up to its former level. Is them buying up, and they're probably wanting to get the real thing. They're probably going to want to have allocated, But if this gets too intense, they're not going to be able to get allocated silver for the spot price. All they're going to be able to get is settled in dollars. But that's what's going on here with this whole thing. But, as this silver price, the spot price drops, it does reflect upon the price you pay, even with the premiums. So, I don't know. I'm just going to guess at this. Silver's like $39 with the premium, and the spot price drops $1. You probably get that $1 taken off with the premium, as long as they keep supply, as long as there's supply out there. If supply runs out, and this is what I'm worried about in the silver market, and if it does happen, it could happen suddenly. That's when the silver market breaks. And I can see this is creating more demand, more strain on the silver market when these prices dive like this. It's putting even more strain. And if they run out, they're going to run out suddenly of silver. It's going to be one of those things. Just like if you were to go to a McDonald's restaurant and get yourself a Coca-Cola. It's in there with all that ice and stuff, and you're sipping it from the straw, and you're not paying any attention. And the cola's going down lower and lower in the glass, and you don't even notice it, and all of a sudden you hear that gurgling sound. That's what's going to happen with silver. If it runs out, it's going to run out all at once. Boom. Everybody's out. And we've seen enough signs of this coming, and that's when the silver market breaks. You see, yesterday that show I did on the silver market breaking, it's all dependent on them running out of physical supply. So APMEX would be out, Kitco would be out, all these silver and gold dealers would be out. They can't allocate any. That's when the silver market breaks. And, when they're out of the 1,000-ounce bars too. It's just cleaned out. It's all gone. And if it happens, it's going to happen suddenly, guys. So get it while it's going. Because think what would happen if you got some silver and they all run out in the world. There's no silver. What a panic there's going to be. Industry can't do their thing. They can't make an iPhone without it. Let's take a look now at gold. The silliest thing is, if they do run out of silver and they break the silver market, the spot price still might not go up because they're still selling all those stupid paper short contracts. But I'm going to guarantee you, if they break the silver market, you're going to see your premiums go up. You're not going to be able to buy any anyway. It's crazy, if they break the market. And how long would it take them to get supply back in? Gosh only knows. Waiting on gold here. I don't know what they're doing with the charts, but we'll move on. Oh, here it is. 1762, down $15.50 on the day. But it's trying to make its way back up again. It's the exact same thing as in the silver market. It's happening in the gold market right now. Let's take a look at cryptos. Cryptos, they're starting to heat up again a little bit, just a little bit. 1,472 billion. Okay, 1,469, and we're looking at a Bitcoin price of 36,209 bucks today. So Bitcoin's starting to head back toward 40,000 again. Take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It's up 83 points on the day so far. Now we're going to take a look at oil. Oil is up 49 cents, $73.40 today. The MOVE Index, 5633, and it's starting to ascend upwards, but very slowly. Nothing to see here. Okay, bonds and rates today. We're getting a little bit of movement on the long end of the yield curve, rising yields, but it's only like half a basis point. So on the US 10-year, we're looking at 1.48. And on the US 30-year, we're looking at 2.1. And now let's take a look at the US dollar index. 92.02 on the US dollar index. And the dollar is moving upwards today, but very slowly. So I'm going to tell you guys, it's been a long haul for silver investors out there. And the madness is not over yet. You know, I don't really think the big surge in silver is going to come until we finally start to move into the really serious inflation. They're going to keep playing these games, trying to haul back. They put the money out there extravagantly. And then they say, oh, it's too much. We've overdid it. Let's haul our horns in. Let's pull back. Then they pull back, and then we have another deflationary cycle. And then the markets start to crash and everything, and then they pour in again. And it's going to continue with these cycles, but the amount they have to pour in to bring us back out of the hole each time is going to be more and more and more. It's on an exponential. And so it's just a matter of time. How long is this all going to take? This silly game between deflation and inflation, until finally inflation wins the day. We're going through these cycles. It's almost like if you're charting it, it's almost like a chart where you're setting higher highs and higher lows. You know, you're moving up, but you go through these periods where it drops off again, and then it goes back up and it drops off again. And it's awful frustrating for investors because they don't know which way to turn. Deflation or inflation? Deflation or inflation? Should I hedge into the dollar and bonds, or should I go over here into gold and silver and cryptos? Well, what do I do right now, you know? You got to let this whole thing play itself out. It's playing itself out in real time, but it's quickening. It's also, these cycles are going to come faster and faster and faster as we move toward the hyperinflation. There's no way out for the Fed now at this point of the hyperinflation. There's only one way out, guys. And that would be to let everything completely deflate and let the system purge. Let all the bad debt purge. Let all of the companies that are zombie companies that don't have any profits, let them all go under. Of course, the problem is it would take the whole system down completely and utterly into a madness. It would just, the people out there, if they let the whole thing completely deflate like that, it would just end in complete and utter madness. You know, they have a word to describe that. They call it SHTF. You know, that's what it would end in if they let that happen. So they can't let that happen. They would lose, first off, if you got a total world that's completely gone mad. Nobody's going to respect power or authority, and that's the thing, is these people that are in power, they have to maintain that power base. That means they have to keep things up and running. And there's only one way they can keep things up and running. They're going to have to keep pumping more and more money into it. And it's going to end in hyperinflation ultimately. Is there any way they can squiggle out of the hyperinflation? Well, I suppose there is. What comes to mind first would be a central bank digital currency. Some sort of tricks that they'll try to do when the hyperinflation starts to get really bad, they will do some sort of bringing out a new currencies or whatever. This is what they always do in a hyperinflation. They end the old currency and they bring out a new currency that does have value, and that's a reset. So I don't see a reset happening until we hit the end of this game. That first off, the dollar is huge. They can't do a reset on the dollar until they have a reason to do a reset. Anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.